Hello there, come back to Techno Innovation Hub. It's going to be a session from Oracle portal. Let's continue our non-multi-tenancy traditional database architecture explanation. Let me share the screen. We have been discussing about shared pools, so let's continue the discussion on shared pool. I think you remember in the last session we got the introduction for most of these components, and we did a basic practical as well to see the components a little bit. So let's continue from there and let's continue our hands-on as well. So this is what we got to know, and we got to know the components like Bricad, direction, cache, and node. And I think we stopped on shared pool reserve size. So that is where we stopped. So let's continue to explain. So as I mentioned on last session also, we have been referring to two main documents actually. One is from Oracle documentation. This is one, and other one is the Oracle technical documentation. This is what we have been referring for the architecture. So for the shared pool also, they have explained certain things. In fact, I have almost explained about the library cache and node. So this is about the shared pool. This is their way of representing the shared pool. So we also have discussed this. But anyway, if you go to this one, I think library cache I explained. If you take a look at this one, they are also explaining the cache hit and cache miss. So fast they are categorizing as a cache hit because that is the execution plan is already available in the library cache, and hard pass they are categorizing as a cache miss because Oracle has to generate the execution plan because the plan is not available in the library cache. So that we discussed. So this is where we stop the reserved pool. As per the explanation, Oracle reserved pool, I think if I go back to the practical environment, we just enter the command and we just checked the size of our reserved pool. Yeah, I think I can just type this command. Yeah, show parameter reserved. So that is what. Yeah. So reserved pool, this is my current value. Actually, this value is set by default in 19C database. Of course, in 12C also there's a default value. And we can check, normally it comes as 5%. 5% from the shared pool size, 5% from the total current shared pool size. So that is how the value is being taken. And we can take a look at that parameter. I think last year also we went into that one. So this is the shared pool reserved size. So it is in bytes. So in my case, around 32 bytes. 32 MB is there. So 32 MB. That is 5% of my current shared pool size because I am using automatic memory management. So that's how it is managed. But if you want to get more details, so now this parameter, what is the purpose and node? And if you want to go down here, you can see the explanation is there. There's something called, you can use this parameter to avoid performance degradation in the database, in the shared pool, in a situation where pool fragmentation forces Oracle to search for an pre-chunk of unused pool to satisfy the current request. So it is something like memory chunk allocation. This is probably explained in other documentation as well because normally the shared pool it is using the least recently used algorithm. There can be fragmentation because depending on the requirement, Oracle's process allocates memory for the to store the execution plan. So due to the fragmentation, when some large memory, contiguously large memory is required, Oracle services might not be able to locate that much of memory in the shared pool due to the fragmentation. So in a continuous basis, it might not be able to acquire set of blocks. So that is where this reserved pool comes into play. Otherwise, Oracle has to initiate, because you definitely we are aware that fragmentation is a performance issue in any of the caches. Maybe in a database buffer cache, even in shared pool, is the same case. So within the library cache, if the fragmentation has happened, so it will be a performance issue. And to avoid that, shared pool reserve size can be used. So Oracle by default use that. So that is what it is explained here. And if you want more detail, you will anyway discuss this one under memory cache tuning. So we are future there will be a session on how to tune these memory structures within the shared global area. So, but for the time being, if you want to take little bit of detail, Oracle database performance tuning guide. So as the documentation says, so we can see about shared pool reserve size. The same thing that I explained, not necessary to, typically it is not necessary to change the default amount. Yes, that's the default value is there. But if you want, we can set, but there can be problem. We have to be careful when you're setting now. This is how the default, as I mentioned, by default, the value of shared pool reserve size is the 5% of shared pool size. So that's what I mentioned. From the total shared pool size, it allocates by default 5%. You can increase, but there's an issue like this as well. If you go beyond more than half of the shared pool size, that means let's say if shared pool is 200 MB, and if you try to set the reserve size to around 150 MB, so then it will trigger error. So that's what that is invalid setting. The parameter returns an error because the database does not allow you to reserve that much of memory. So likewise, there are tuning concerns from shared pool. Anyways, so for the time being, just get an idea about shared pool reserve size. Now you got the understanding what does it mean and why the shared pool reserve size is important. And further, if you want, we can, let's get back to, this is I'm in my practical environment. Now here also it is explained the reserved pool size. You can see it's a memory area in the shared pool that Oracle database can use to allocate large contiguous chunk of memory. So that is why when the fragmentation happens in the shared pool or in the library cache, Oracle won't be able to get contiguous memory because due to the fragmentation. Then Oracle can utilize, the services can utilize reserved pool. The database allocate memory from the shared pool in chunks. So that is how the shared pool memory get allocated in chunks. Chunking allows large objects over 5 KB to be loaded into the cache without requiring a single contiguous area. In this way, the database reduces the possibility of running out of contiguous memory because of the fragmentation. So that is why it always try to use chunks. When loading data into the shared pool, that is what they are in database, allocate memory from the shared pool in terms of chunks. So when Oracle is unable to get chunks, so that causes fragmentation because it has to scatter the execution plans or whatever the SQL statements, compile statement, it has to split it across the memory available, across the scattered memory available within the shared pool. So that's not a good thing. It's will cause a performance issue. So if the shared pool reserve size can accommodate those chunks, then it will reduce that performance problem. That's what it says. Fine, I think got it, reserved pool. So that is that. Then we got the idea about the dictionary cache. We know it is cache from the dictionary. Underlying system DBF file, which will support for the object to verify in order to generate the execution plan. Oracle has to check the syntax, semantics. So under semantic check means object name, column names. Their dictionary cache will support to verify those things, including privileges and all. And this one, server result cache. I think yes, in this previous session also we discussed server results cache, which is caching the result of SQL statements and PLSQL. So it has two areas, SQL and PLSQL, which is caching that and result, caching the result. we can see server result cache. It is a memory pool within the shared pool that holds the result set. The server result cache contains SQL query result cache, PLSQL. The both types are there. We can see the SQL query result store the result of query fragments, that is SQL outcomes. I mean, we know to get the final outcome of a SQL query, there can be subqueries within the main query, and the output of subqueries maybe have to be merged. So Oracle can temporarily store these outcomes in the result cache, SQL results cache. So if the statement is repeated, no need to calculate, it will be passed, it can take it from the cache. So similarly, PLSQL also, it does the same thing. Results of functions, it can store in the cache. Results it will be passed when it's repeating the same thing again. And we have other components. I think you see here, you can we have this ILM, information lifecycle management, bitmap tables, enqueues, latches, ASH, buffers, active session history buffers. So likewise, we have these other areas as well. So in this technical guide, they are explaining that one. We can see other components include enqueues, latches, ILM bitmap tables. We know about information lifecycle management. It's a feature introduced in Oracle 12c to handle the data. I mean, we have different types of data, hot data, cold data, likewise, because data on the fly. There is data which is heavily in use, always in use. These can be taken as active data or hot data. And there are set of data which is rarely active, that is kind of cold data. So that is what ILM is categorized data and allows us to handle. So it's like a small warehouse kind of a thing. Of course, now warehouses are, I mean, it's a kind of old word. So we have data lake, and data lake now has been gone to further to Delta Lake, right? Delta Lake and Data Lake House for analytics. So we know these new terms are there. So ILM, active session history, that is another area. We know that to get the session information, session related information for SQL queries, it is very important when we troubleshoot in the tuning issues in with SQL statements and other minor memory structures. Okay, we have those things. Then enqueues are shared memory structures, locks that serialize access for database resources. Yeah, enqueuing, queue management is there separately in Oracle. So let's talk about those things later. So these are additional small memory areas within the shared pool. We can see they can be associated with session or transitions. That is enqueuing, and it is especially for lock management. And these are examples. They are telling about control files. When recovering and updating control file transition is that transitions, because Oracle control file always has to keep the track of the ongoing activities as of now, what is happening. Mainly the checkpoint queue, a lot of things are there. We have learned those things. And data file details, the header part of the data file maintains the status, instance recovery, media recovery, transition recovery, job queue, and so on. So these all require this queuing mechanism, and we talk about those things later. And latches are used for low level. Yeah, latches is another mechanism again to control these memory structures by handling the locks mechanism. And so that's what it says. Latches are used as low level serialization control mechanism used to protect shared data structures in SGA from simultaneous access. Yeah, because this when parallelly users are accessing the same memory structure, so latch management is very important. Latch is like a temporary locking situation for a given memory area. So because we know when the same memory area is shared across multiple users, it has to be managed properly. So latch comes into play in that place. That is one of the places. So let's talk about that one later. And because we can use the VWBH channel with latches to get the details of latches and library cache, pin and log parallel write. Examples are row cache objects, library cache, ping, log file, parallel write. It's okay. So let's discuss those things later. So these are additional components in the shared pool. We can see library cache, we have discussed that. Shared pool, shared SQL areas. So this is about this component. Again, about shared SQL area, we have discussed in previous under, remember, shared server architecture and program global area. I mean, PGA, dedicated server. So there also we have discussed. This is what shared SQL area. That the documentation is explained in that one as well. You can see here shared SQL area. The database represents each SQL statement that it runs in a shared SQL area and a private SQL area. So we know in a dedicated environment, definitely each server process is going to have its own PGA. Per connection, per session, there will be dedicated services. So as the private SQL area. So private SQL area is going to locate within the PGA. So this is going to happen that we have learned earlier. But when it comes to shared server, so that's not the case. Then the situation is going to be different because we don't have a dedicated server process. So that's what here also it is explained in the database uses a shared SQL area to process the first occurrence of the SQL statement. This area is accessible to all users, contains the statement pass tree execution plan. Only one shared SQL area exists for unique statement. Each session issuing the SQL statement has a private SQL. That's what I mentioned. And we have explained this one earlier, so no point of going through again. Then this is a little bit of valid statement. It's okay to say this database uses a shared SQL area to process the first occurrence. That's true. Because anyway, the first occurrence takes place in a dedicated environment within the PGA, but finally, those things also has to come into the shared SQL area when people are repeatedly accessing those things. Because as far as it is in the PGA, it is dedicated for that session only. So what is available in shared SQL will be accessible to everybody. So this is what is explained. The database automatically determines the application submit similar. Okay, that's fine. So this is explains how it works. The database performs the following steps. What is this? You can see the database automatically determines when applications submit the similar SQL statements. The database considers both SQL statement issued directly by users and applications and recursive SQL statement issued internally by other statement. Okay, the database considers both SQL statement issued directly by users and applications and recursive. Okay, because the statement can be repeated. No, same statement can be repeated either from application level or from the user level. So then when same things are repeating, Oracle no need to go to again generate the pass. I mean, it can use the SOAP pass because the SQL statement is already available, because the passcode is already available, because it is already been, the passcode already been generated. Now the requirement is these passcodes should be available in the shared SQL area, not within the PGA. In the dedicated environment, it's going to be in the PGA, but later it's going to come into the shared SQL area. So this is what it is explained. The following state, the database performs following steps. You can see, check the shared pool to see the syntactically equal, semantically. Yeah, same statement is there. It has to be syntactically equal, it has to be semantically equal. And if the identical statement exists, then the database uses shared SQL area for execution of a subsequent new instance. That's true. Then database uses the shared SQL area for the execution of the subsequent new instances of the statement, thereby reducing memory consumption. Exactly, because if the statement is repeating, there can be two users. Let's go to the picture. This is explain this one. You can see now there are two users here. This is one, user two. You can think in that way. And in a dedicated environment, per user session, we have a server process. This is server process 1, server process 2. Now, when both below is in the same statement, so what is explained above, it can use this common area, shared SQL area. Otherwise, I mean, it has to pass separately. No point of separately passing, because these two statements are syntactically equal, semantically equal. Same object is accessing. So then Oracle will use the shared SQL area, which is become faster. Faster means it is going to be a SOAP pass and a cache hit. That's all. In summary, that is what it says. Private SQL area on behalf of the session. The location of the private SQL area depends on the connection established for the session. If a session is connected to shared server, then part of the private SQL area are kept in SGA. That's true. So in case of a shared server, this SQL area, this is what it says, private SQL area will be there in the shared pool, because we don't have a dedicated session in the shared server, no? So it uses this area to share the common SQL statement. So that is what it does, but this is by default, it happens. If we have defined the large pool, it will go to the large pool. So I think we have learned that one earlier. If we just slowly read this one, what is you can see, checks the shared pool to see if a shared SQL area exists for us semantically and for us syntactically and semantically. That's right. That's true. As example is select star from employee, which is given, so it is semantically and syntactically identical. Then it says if an identical statement exists, okay, then the database uses the shared SQL area for execution of such sequence. Yeah, so you put it in the shared SQL area because both are identical. If an identical statement does not exist, so that means we don't have identical one. Different sessions are issuing different statements. Then database allocates a new shared SQL area in the shared pool. So this is something to notice. Now, if the statements are identical, what's going to be? You can use a common shared SQL area, but if the statements are not identical, what it says, database allocates a new shared SQL area in the shared pool. A statement with the same syntax but different semantics. Syntax is same. Different semantics means you can have maybe the column name is different. Likewise, a statement with this syntax but different semantics. Yes, it can happen. No, the object name can be changed. Select star from instead of employee, it can say item. So semantics is different, but the statement syntactically the same. Likewise. So in that case, Oracle cannot use the same execution plan. So what it will do, it will allocate a new area in the shared pool. New area means new shared SQL area. So that is what it says. We can see these two fellows. This is from select star from employee. This is select star from item. So I mean, we can say syntax wise is similar because both are selected star, but semantics are different. This use the employee table. This use the item table. So in that case, in library cache, it has to allocate another shared SQL area. That's what it says. That's something to notice. Then again, it says in either case, the private SQL area for the user points to the shared SQL area that is contained the statement in the execution plan. That's true. Because now in this case, both the statements are same, similar, no, syntactically, semantically similar. So therefore, both are pointing to the same shared SQL area. But if we draw this picture by replacing employees in item, then the second server process will be pointing to another shared SQL area. It's a different one. So because the statement is semantically different to this statement. Fine. So that is what it says. And finally, it says allocates a private SQL area on behalf of the session. So that's the step number 2. Allocates a private SQL area on behalf of the session. The location of the private SQL area depends on the connection established for the session. If a session is connected to a shared server, that's we explained earlier. Shared server, the part of the private SQL area kept in the SGA. That's why if it is a dedicated server process is going to handle the PGA separately. So the private SQL area for the user will be within the PGA. But if it is a shared server configuration, then the private SQL area will be in the shared pool or in the large pool that we have explained earlier. But of course, even though the documentation goes in maybe the opposite way, because what happens initially, what should happen, this phase, no, the statement will be coming from the client side. The user should issue the statement. So initially in a dedicated server environment, this part takes place actually. This part takes place, then only it should go here. But it's okay. I mean, in the middle of the process, you can come back and explain the opposite way also. In the middle of the process means, let's say now these things have happened and another user number 3 is going to come, user number 4 is going to come. then you can explain what the documentation says, because then you have areas here already now, because of user 1 and user 2 have already worked here. So therefore, we have shared SQL areas defined. So in the user number 3 and 4 are going to come. And if they are, user number 3 is going to issue the same statement again, then user number 3 can fit into this one, that shared SQL area. But if the user number 4 is going to issue a total new statement, which is semantically and syntactically both are different, then that's going to initiate a new shared SQL area. Having initiated that, in that shared, in that server process site, within the PG also, private SQL area should be available. That is where the statement initially take place, because we know in the client process, user process or the client process, that there's a small compilation happens there. Likewise, that process we have explained earlier. I think if you go back our slides here, if you go back here in this, here we have that one explained. So this is what I'm talking about. So this was explained in detail. So no point of repeating that one. But it's a little bit important to understand what it says here as well. So that's why I just trying to explain this one. So either you can take this one first, or you can take this one first. Both are correct either way. If you get the total picture, that is fine. So that is that. So let's go to the other one. Then we have program SQL. This was already explained, the caching, PLSQL caching and SQL caching. Data dictionary also explained. Result cache also explained. You have the SQL query result cache and the PLSQL, the server results cache. This is program units and the library cache. We have explained that one. Library cache, the execution plans and all, allocation and reuse of memory shared pool. Yeah, this is another important thing. Allocation and reuse of memory in shared pool. Now, shared pool is a LRU algorithm. Use the LRU algorithm, least reason use algorithm. So that I explained earlier. And now we can go for the hands-on alter system plus what is going to happen. So plushing means we can clear it off. We can clear the shared pool, but we need to understand what you mean by clearing the shared pool as well. So let's do a hands-on, small hands-on for that. What it says, the program units and the library cache. The library cache hold the execution, PLSQL, Java. Oh yeah, we explained that one yesterday. Library cache, allocation memory. Yeah, with that we can go to the hands-on. Yes, server results cache. We explain SQL and PLSQL. That is clear. This is about SQL results cache, and yeah, and we have these things which will be discussed later, because size in the result cache, max results cache, and there's a default size for results cache. So we discuss those parameters later on the tuning. Results cache mode, yes. So these parameters we'll discuss later with tuning, because by default anyway the caching is enabled with 12c on nodes. It is enabled for results cache or PLSQL function results cache. Yeah, this is for PLSQL results cache, SQL results cache, PLSQL results cache. Both are separately caching. I think it is here. This is SQL results cache, PLSQL results cache. Fine. So with that, I think we can. That is, next thing is large pool. But before going to large pool, let's complete this hands-on to get that will give you some comprehensive idea about what is this flushing the shared pool. So better to get an understanding about flushing the shared pool. So let's try to do that hands-on as well. Yeah, this is what VDOLR DB object cache. Yeah. So if you want to take a look at the current caching details within the shared pool, so we can take a look at VDOLR object cache. So that will give you the details about the current situation in the shared pool. So if you just run this command, you can get it namespace wise. So let's run this command. Now this one is, I'm just formatting the columns. Owner, namespace, object type, and the name, how much of shareable memory in use at the moment from VDOLR object cache order by shareable memory. So if you just press enter, it will give me the current situation in my memory. This is in my database. At the moment, I am having 17,795 rows are there. for different namespaces. I think yes, in the last session we got the caches, namespaces, different namespaces, SQL, PLSQL, Java, likewise different namespaces are there for XML. We can see, and for each the shared memory also given in bytes. That's okay. So that what you need to understand at the moment, I am having 17,795 rows. So that's my current load in my shared pool. In my shared pool, it will be loaded 17,795 is there. Now what I am trying to do, I am trying to clear it off. I am going to flush the whole shared pool. How? This is not recommended in the production actually, but there are places we may have to do because this is going to clear the whole shared pool, which is given a large workflow for the database, because all the things are going to be cache misses thereafter, no? Because everything is going to be hard passed. Nothing will be available in the shared pool. That's what's going to happen if you just clear it off. And the documentation also says it's going to clear the shared pool if you issue this command. And let's try this command. If I type this one, what's going to happen? Alter system plus shared pool. Put in the command. Just now notice this row count 17,795. Now if I re-execute my previous command again, this one. Now if you just watch the row count, what will happen? Earlier it was 17,000. Now if you just notice, see it has gone to drastically gone down, only 1,140. That means it has cleared the shared pool in a more than 90%. It has cleared. That is what. So now thereafter everything will be hard pass for him, hard pass to the Oracle server. But you can clear. But there's another one we can try out. Instead of clearing the whole shared pool, we can clear selected statements. That is possible. So if you want to clear a selected execution plan in the shared memory, that is also possible. So this is a small practical to test that one. I have a small table called EMP. Let me check that table is there. Select star from EMP. I think I can create that one, no problem. I'm under sys, no, so let's connect as system. Either way is fine, but normally we don't do that much of practicals on the system. Like normally testing scenarios is better to use a different user. And let's see, select start from EMP. Yeah, I have record. That doesn't matter, just to test this one. The table is there. So what you can do, I have the table. The very first thing is I'm just select start from EMP. Yeah, already I have run the command. So I want to get the SQL ID of this particular command. Select star from EMP. Let me check. Select star from EMP. Yeah. So yes, there's a mistake. This is case sensitive. I have used this capital. Let's remove that case. So let me use this one, simple lowercase. Yeah. Okay. So I got the SQL ID for this particular history. Very simple. I just got the SQL ID from Visual SQL area where text like this one. So this is the SQL ID. So that is being compiled and available in the library cache. And then what you need to do, SQL ID is not enough for the statement, not enough for our practical. We need to select the address and the hash value from Visual SQL area. Where our this is for this practical I have done. So let's use the correct SQL ID here. Where SQL ID like this is my SQL ID. Should be the same thing. Let's check the ID. Yeah, this is going in DAZ and no, it's a different one. Yeah, and normally it will be same, but I use here is the case, no, uppercase. That's why it's using a different SQL ID. Otherwise, as per the algorithm, it should use the same ID. That doesn't matter. But in my practical, I'm using start from my F is in lowercase. So that is why I got a different ID. Otherwise, it should be the same. you want, we can test that one as well because we are doing the practical. What I'm telling is this, okay, I'm trying to do this now. Select, let me show you that. Select star from, type in capital EMP, fine. Then if I try this, my original query, this is what, no, capital, right? So, and I'm trying this. So you can see the ID got different. This is DZ, this is 4VZ, and you can see my previous practical. This is also using the same ID 4VZ because it's using the capital. Because there's algorithm Oracle use the way it gives the SQL ID depends on its SQL statement. That's what it is. There's a direct relationship between the statement syntax and the ID is assigned. It's converts the algorithm converts by looking at the statement. The ID comes in that way anyway. So that is fine. So let's continue with our whatever statement. Now we got the hash address and the address from our lowercase statement. So let's continue that one. So we have the hash address and the SQL address for that particular statement. So now what we can do now, we want to clear only a selected statement from the library cache. So how can we do now? Now there's a package called dbms shared pool purge. dbms shared pool purge. Now if you right away run this, if you are doing it for the first time, it will give you error because by default this package is not generated. So that's what it says, must be declared. So therefore you better run this particular SQL package, the PLSQL package, and get this PLSQL package populated. You can run the script, SQL script, and get it populated. The script is this. It's under RDBMS. We know RDBMS admin. That is the common place most of the scripts are located. So you can go to that place, RDBMS admin, and right away run this. You can see I'm in RDBMS admin in 19.3, and you can just add. This is the script dbms pool.sql. So just run it. Then it will say you have to be a privileged user. Either sys or system is fine. Only DBA user, session holder, like it will populate that one. So after that, your package will get enabled, and then you can run this execute purge. I want to purge my given statement. So I want to purge my SQL select star from EMP. The particular execution plan, I need to clear it off from my library cache. So what can I do? I will just run this statement. So let's try that one. And we need to pass these parameters. The first parameter is combination of this combination. Make sure it's a combination, right? So that this is how we should run it. You can put a comma in between, and there's no quotation in between. So the comma in between, this is a single line combination of hash and address. So let's copy that one. So and comma. First is SQL address, second one is hash value, SQL hash value, and now you can close it and comma, and you can see here after that the letter C is there. So the letter C is to indicate it's a cursor. We know Oracle use cursors in the library cache to maintain execution plans for each and every SQL statement, internal cursor management, implicit cursor management. Fine. So let's give this one and like that. And if you run this command, yeah, there's error. What's the error? Not executed package body system shared pool does dbms shared pool does not exist. Package body not executed. System dbms shared pool does not exist. Could not find shared pool. Any error? Other than that, package body system does not exist. Yes, could not find the program code. Yeah, at line none. Okay, let's connect sys as sysdba. Okay, then let's run it. There is no any other mistake here. We are passing the relevant parameters, combination of address
To clear the cursor, the letter C. Yeah, we got it cleared. So that is the privilege issue. You can run it on the system, no problem, but you need to run this package permission. So under sys, by default, it is enabled. Then now what you can do, it is clear. So if you further check it and select address from this one, like now it won't be there because it is being cleared. I want to check this one, address like SQL ID. So what was our SQL ID? For the simple, this is our SQL ID. This one, no. BAZ, no. So let's. I gave the fourth already, so now I have to give it again. Okay, right. Yeah, so no rows selected. Why no rows selected? I cleared that particular execution plan so that you can see the SQL ID. There's no reference in the SQL ID in the library cache. So because I cleared it, so therefore it will say no row selector. So that's how you cleared it. You are clearing a selected execution plan from the library cache. And if you want, you can create group of SQL statements also, execution plan from the library cache, that you can try it out. But this DBMS shared pool purge. Purge is the procedure, this is the package. You can see the parameters if you want, like this. This is what DBMS, this is the package purge procedure. You can, if you go up, this is the documentation. DBMS shared pool, that's the package, and the purge procedure. This is the purge procedure. So what I am doing very simple. The name should be like this. The first parameter is name, and you can see this first parameter DBMS share pool dot purge. That's the first one is hash. This one actually. There are different usages, but we have used this particular method. First one is the name and the flag and the heap. So heap we haven't given actually. We have kept the default heap. That's okay. Don't worry about heaps. We can explain, but not at this stage. Those are a little bit deeper things we can understand later. And a name and a flag. So these were the two parameters we used. You can see the name. Name can be given in this way. The value of this identifier is a concatenation of address and hash. So that is why I gave in that way. First I gave the address, then the hash value, concatenation. So that's the reason I didn't separate it, and I gave it concatenation with a comma separation within this one single quote. And the C, letter C is for, you can see here. If you see the flag, in case of the first argument is a cursor, that's why, because our case is just a SQL statement, so it uses a cursor. And then you have to give the parameters should be set to, the parameters should be set to any character except these letters, P, Q, R, S, T, because those things are for different usages. P, Q, P for true. You can see PO, simple PO, capital P, fully specify the input package, like a T for type, and R for trigger, and name of a trigger, likewise. But anything other than these letters you can use if it is a cursor. So I use C, it is accepting C. So C is for cursor, likewise. So that is that. Hope you got the idea with that practical, clearing the entire share pool plus the selected SQL statement. And with that, I think we can conclude the understanding of shared pool memory structures. I think session went for a little long, but it's okay. I just want to complete that one because there's no point breaking in down to another one. Fine. So I'll meet you in the next session. Next is going to be the large pool. So we have to deep dive the large pool as well. So let's try to understand memory structure, deep dive large pool in the next session. Fine. So if you like this, you can put a subscribe, and I meet you soon in the next session. Have a great time. Bye bye.